So first we need to approve the minutes from the March 22nd meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of March 22nd, 2021.
Second.
All those in favor?
James Quirk, aye.
John Vansel's aye.
Bill Ambrosino, aye. Do we have a Damon Tenio now? Damon.
Okay,
Second item on the agenda tonight.
well, if you want the home business, there's 2 home businesses, we can just set a public hearing date. I
Well, I'd
mistake,
like to address, let's get,
okay,
move on the 35 Cape Road issue. Due to the fact, the continued hearing on the site plan review,
that's the letter, that's the new,
yeah, and the board's persistence on receiving the special permit application. I received a letter from the applicant. 35 Cape Road, and he wishes to withdraw his site plan review. So he's going to now apply for a special permit / site plan review. So we're going to take into order that we need to assign a public hearing date to move this forward, and we got to close the current public hearing on the site plan review.
Has he already submitted the
so do you,
application?
Did he submit the app?
right in front of you?
Oh, in here?
Yep.
Okay, let's take a look. Yes, he did. He completed the submitted app. And he has several copies, yeah. So we're going to move to the special permit phase along with the site plan review. So we need to close that current public hearing. Unfortunately, you know, we really, I don't know if the community has any questions real quick, but council will be in the house for that public hearing. Any questions for you. But as far as tonight goes, the site plan review is being closed at this time. And we're reissuing, so you should get a letter in the mail. I know he pulled the abutters list again.
Yep.
And you should be getting what's the date on that, May 12th?
There's one little issue that Dan was going to talk about. Someone wants this room on the 10th for Brothers of the Book or something.
Is it 10th or the 12th?
The 10th.
10th.
The 10th is a Monday. Is that when you normally?
Yeah, they can't have the room on,
Right, need it then.
yeah, we need it on the 10th. So we'll open the new public hearing on May 10th.
Okay, so do you have to,
Yes, we have to make a motion.
make a motion
Well, we
to
have to
close the
close,
site
we have to
plan
close the
first?
site plan review and make
Make a
a
motion to close the site plan review for 35 Cape Road.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Roll
Quirk,
call.
aye.
Bill Ambrosino, aye.
John Vansel's aye.
We have a Damon in the room yet?
David Tenio, aye.
Damon
Okay.
Tenio, aye.
Thank you, Damon.
Okay, so that takes care of it. Next order of business is to set a public hearing date for the special permit / site plan review for 35 Cape Road.
Okay, so that could be,
That's May 10th.
hold on.
We're doing everything at 7 o'clock, so.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, May 10th is right.
Make a motion to,
I was
Move
just
the-
making sure of the dates, Bill.
Okay,
I have to put in the paper.
all right.
public hearing site plan review for 35 Cape Road to May 10th, 7 PM.
Second.
All those in favor?
James Quirk, aye.
John Vansel's aye.
Bill Ambrosino, aye.
Damon Tenio, aye.
And that puts that over the rest for this evening. Thank you guys from the community. We will address all your questions at that May 10th meeting. I will give you plenty of time to speak and let you be heard. And like I said, council will be in the room that night, so we should be able to get it resolved.
Thanks, Phil. I appreciate it.
America. Next order of business.
Is 47.
You-
47 Milford Street, yeah, continuation of public hearing.
All right, 47 Milford Street.
Yes.
Who's
This is-
here?
This is Niall McManus here for Noble Manor for 47 Milford Street. I think last month we came together and you hadn't received the site plan and the special permit back from Graves Engineering, which I believe Jeff got back during the week. And we're just looking for to move forward, obviously, with the blast from the town tonight. Thank you.
Okay. So Jeff, you've completed your review.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Jeff Walsh. I'm with Graves Engineering, peer review consultant for the planning board. We received a set of plans in the hydrology computations a couple days later, and with me, there it is. Yep. On or about March 24th, we received the plans. April 1st, we received some other supporting information. I reviewed the information and issued a letter on April 8th, Mr. Chairman. The applicant's basically reusing the facility and making modifications to the outside. And as we are aware, there'll be quite a bit of work to the interior of the building. My focus of the review was on the exterior of the building and issues pertinent to the planning board, especially for my work. It's engineering related, civil engineering related. Today, Mr. Chairman, you're not yet aware of this, but today I received some revised documents to address my comments of April 8th. My comments of April 8th there were not any major or earth-shattering type of issues, but nonetheless, a few things to address. I reviewed those documents. I've put my findings in writing. I have not issued the letters electronically yet, and I have plans that I could hand out to you. And if the applicant has any representation in the room, I could hand them out to them as well. So I'd like to pass these around.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, you get the original.
So,
Okay, yeah.
so everybody on Noble Manor is on the call, along with our civil engineer, Randy Waterman. So, any questions?
Well, maybe we can just verbally, because they don't have a copy of this yet? Jeff? They don't have a copy of this yet?
No, they do not have a copy. It was late in the day today, and I was reluctant to issue it electronically and only confuse the board more so, and I brought paper copies. But if I can boil it all down, Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
the comments I had of April 8th, there were, again, a few minor plan revisions, and there was a minor update of the hydrology calculations. Those revisions have been made, and my comments that the warranted document revisions have been addressed. So I'll kind of walk you through the letter a little bit. First comment has to do with, there's two different zoning districts. The use is only allowed in one of the districts, but nevertheless, there was a variance issued, as I understand it,
Yep.
that allows use of that, allows that use in both zoning districts. Number two has to do with the security fence and how tall and so forth. And it's going to be a 6-foot high chain link security fence. My interpretation is that a delivery vehicle can back in and they have the ability to lock the gate and close the gate as they make a transfer out of the truck and into the building. Number three, telephone number needs to be shown on the plans. This seems like a trivial point, but many communities require it, and I feel it's very important because when we're out of construction, we got plans under our arms and something's not going right, you need to call someone.
Right.
The town requires it, and that's where we get the information. The applicant's design firm said they're going to put the plan on the phone number on the final set of plans that comes before this board.
Yep.
Yep, so that's fine. Number 4, snow storage. They plan to store snow on the pavement on the southwest corner of the site by where there's going to be a new small stormwater basin. It's important not to store snow in a stormwater basin, and their response is to store it on the asphalt adjacent to the basin, let the snow melt, go into the basin. Very valid response. I suggest the planning board include a condition in its decision that just calls for that to happen, so that the debris and so forth that usually falls out of the snow, we don't want that ending up in the stormwater basin. Moving on, number 5, I'm not going to be reviewing signs. I know the planning board deals with that. Number 6, screening of the dumpsters. The dumpster is going to be located on the Milford Street side of the building, and it is proposed to be within the perimeter of a landscaping and the security fence, which again is chain link fence. I can't speak for the board whether the screening is adequate. There is effort being made to screen it. The screening, I have no issue with it, but I would defer to the board on final
Is it
consideration.
landscaping screening, you said?
Yes, it is.
Outline what they're gonna put there?
They did, and I think I'd rather let the applicant speak to what their specific intentions, seeing they're on the call.
What are your intentions on the screening of the, dumpster?
Hi, this is Randy Waterman from Waterman Design WDA in Westboro. The dumpster, as Jeff mentioned, is out in the front area just because that is where the driveway back into the site, and it's a good location to have the dumpster because it's inside the chain link fence. So we do have some large trees that are proposed right adjacent to that area. And in addition, as he mentioned, the detail that we have submitted for the chain link fence would include a 6-foot high chain link fence around that area. So between the fencing and the screening, the dumpster area is pretty well screened. There are a couple other existing trees up in the front area.
Do you have a type of tree that you're gonna be planting there? Is it gonna be,
Yes, those are called, let me just grab the landscape.
Should be an evergreen tree. Should be evergreen.
yeah, it should be some type of evergreen trees or?
Yeah, let me just check. Okay, if you have the full set of drawings handy on 3.0, there is a plant schedule, and there are Chinese juniper proposed in a double row right in front of the dumpster area so that you wouldn't be able to see that from the street. And additionally, there are 3 pin oaks that are proposed. 2 of them are at the front of the site right there at the dumpster area as well. So there's a double row of shrubs, the Chinese juniper, and then in addition, there's a large pin oak proposed, and then the rest of that area gets ground cover. So it has both screening, and outside the screening, there are double rows of shrubs proposed.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, that should do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, and I see the rendering on the front here. Are we going with some type of clapboard on the front? and just regular,
So we have Matthew McGeorge, our architect, on the line as well. I'll let Matthew speak to the exterior finish.
Well, Niall, before he does that, do we want Jeff to finish just going through the site?
why don't we
information that
finish,
he has?
Okay.
Certainly.
the,
Yep. To Randy Waterman and the applicant's team, I will issue the electronic version of this letter tomorrow morning. Again, I didn't feel comfortable issuing it late in the day and the board not having the opportunity to see it, whereas the applicant did. Moving on to number 7 and 8, it's a redevelopment of a site. There's a stormwater impoundment proposed to pick up the majority of the parking lot runoff, provide a little treatment, and provide some attenuation of peak rate before it's discharged. And there was just some coordination between the plans and the hydrology calculations. I don't want to belabor the issues, but they've been addressed. Moving on to number 9, I asked for some information about slopes along the handicap accessible route from the parking space that's going to be adjacent to the building to the 2 doors, one door for the general public and the other door for the employees in case an employee uses that route. The response was that the area is pretty flat, and I don't dispute that. I am a little bit familiar with the site, and that they'd like to demonstrate through an as-built, as they apply for their occupancy permit, that they can achieve the grades required. I don't think that's an unreasonable request, Mr. Chairman, and if the board's so inclined to allow that, I would just suggest document it as a condition in the decision.
okay.
If it were out of compliance, they'll have the opportunity to pick up on that as they do their work adjacent to the building for the walkways and make adjustments to it. And again, I don't expect that there would be any significant work to
No, and
make
I
those
will tell you, they'll be down checking it. They checked my building. So.
Okay, good. All right, and number 10 was a construction detail associated with the security fence. Again, that's been addressed. Number 11 and 12, I just want to make it clear that we're not reviewing the septic system, nor are we reviewing for the access permit or anything associated with that, because Mass DOT will have a bite at the apple where it's, Milford Street is under Mass DOT jurisdiction.
Yep.
That's all I have for you, Mr. Chairman, but I'm glad to answer any questions the board may have.
No, I think you've pretty much covered it. Does the board have any further questions of?
What's the use on the open space in the back of the building? What's that going to be used for?
Well, it's got a current use now of storage, so it would maintain that current use until the use changed, at which time they would, if something went in there that required an additional use, it would trigger it. But I would, maybe the applicant can entertain us with, what do you envision in the rest of the building?
You are correct. It's storage for now. We have had no other plans to change what's there, and it'll be just continued storage. If at any point the city want to come down and check that out, be it the fire department or be it anyone else that want to see what we're storing there, the city is always welcome to do that.
Have you talked to the fire department at all about this building?
I have not. Normally we wait till they get the special permit, and then that's my next protocol. We have in the past, but not recently. But I am the project. I will be the project manager on this job. So normally, after we get through the special permit, I make contact with the building commissioner, the fire department, the fire prevention officer in particular, and the police department, and walk them through before we turn a single screw in the job, because if they have comments, that's the time to address them.
Yeah, I think he responded to, the fire chief received a copy of this, and I believe he responded to it, and obviously there are concerns of during the site plan and special permit process, emergency vehicle access. And
Correct.
just want to make sure that he was okay with that, but I'm sure.
Yeah, no, so we always take into consideration the widest truck that the jurisdiction has in the town being abandoned at on this one. And the site is able to get in the widest truck that the Mandan Fire Department has, and it's able to access the site successfully and get in and out there pretty safely.
Okay. Now, if there's no further questions from the board, I'll open it to the community. Community have any questions? I'll take that as a no.
Kathy Schofield.
Yes,
Um,
Ken.
I have a question. At the last meeting, they were going to present the board with a new look because you'd made some mention about the just repurposing the building that was already existing. Is there any way that the public can see what the proposal is?
Did you get that in email form or?
I'm sorry.
I mean, basically, it's a current building. They're doing, on the top, they're doing kind of a header, Kathy. And then they're putting clapboard on the side.
I got no email on that.
To the guest that asked the question, if you can message me your email, I will make sure to email you the final rendering of the outside before we change anything. More than happy to do that for any on the call tonight.
And one other question, is there any additional landscaping that you're going to be doing in the front for screening purposes?
Randy, I'll let you answer that. Civil engineers on, I'll let Randy answer that.
All right.
Yeah, we have submitted a planting plan, as we were just talking about. There's a double row of evergreen shrubs over in front of the building area. And then we continued that same design over on the south side of the driveway. So that will frame the entrance to the site. And then we have various ground covers out all the way up to the street to clean that area up. And then we've planted some additional taller trees throughout that front part of the site, some pin oaks. And then we are also updating the lighting on the perimeter and so that there would be lighting of the new painted parking spaces. So basically trying to bring it all into conformance with sort of the typical small retail appearance.
And is there a plan for the lighting when it, will it be dimming out? Will it be?
Yeah, during the evening, she's talking, is there, first of all, I don't see a lighting plan in here. But Mendon is pretty particular about, making sure that the lighting doesn't go off the property. That it, doesn't, it's down facing and.
Correct.
And, whenever you close, either go to some type of security lighting or like every other light. So the place isn't lit up all night.
Yeah, no,
I mean, if you
the
have
lighting.
requirements for security, I understand it, but.
Yeah, the lighting is called out on sheet 3C300 that's on the planting and lighting plan. And so we expect a specific lighting style that is on there. There are 3 poles proposed that calls out the particular kind of lighting, and those do have a down shield. So as far as the hours, I'm not sure of the hours of operation now. Maybe you can let them know, and I would assume the lights would not be on other than just some security flood type lights after that time.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Into that lighting plan,
He's got a lighting summary table up there on the, I'm not seeing where they are on the plan.
On the plan, there on the lower part of the sheet, there's three of them along the parking spaces. One's in front of parking space number 1. One's in front of parking space number 9. They're labeled as
Yeah, I saw
SL1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's one that's near the loading zone.
But they're not showing.
And any lights on the building would be shown on the architectural plan. Those are just the site lights, and we tried to keep it very minimal, just at the parking.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Bill, you got a couple people with their hands raised. I'm not sure if they were already attended to or not.
Dan,
Well, Kathy is one, and then there's somebody named Matthew.
Matthew, are you there?
Yes, I'm the architect for the applicant.
Oh, all right. So Kathy, do you have any more questions in reference to the previous speaker?
No, I think I had them answered, so I'm all set. Thank you.
All right, with no further questions from the community. Just trying to make sure I didn't have any unresolved items. Looks like they did that. As far as any further possible further changes to the exterior of the building, are you guys open to that? I mean, we really want to try and start cleaning that area up.
Yeah, I mean, we're willing to work with the city. More than happy to sit down with whoever and work through it. It is a prefab building, so you know, it's kind of, but we will make it as we always like to leave a nice finish behind us, and plus we want to make it have it curb appeal to potential customers as well. So it's in our best interest to leave a nice building when we're finished construction.
Absolutely, I think your clientele enjoys it better when the building doesn't look like they're walking into a steel building. But
Correct. I agree. Thank you.
Bill, I have one more question.
sure.
What about signage? What was the discussion regarding signage? Or
Well, they need to go through the sign permit process on that. They're gonna have to have a sign created. There is a sign bylaw. And then that's usually submitted through the building department. If building has any questions to the planning board, they will refer to the planning board. But there are a set of criteria for signage that's in the zoning book. Actually, I think that might even be in the general, but yeah, they'll address the signage per the bylaw. And like I said, if building needs our input, they'll reach out to us.
okay,
We
thank
would
you.
like to see something, obviously. They can't, any signage they have, I mean, they're aware of what they can and can't do. I mean, the state governs that as far as, and Mendon's bylaw also governs as far as advertising on the exterior building. There really isn't any other than a name. So, you know, I don't think signage will be an issue. And I'm sure they're going to want it to look as dressy as possible to draw their clientele too.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
Hey, Bill,
yes.
this is Damon. Are they gonna bring a rendering to us? I mean, in this situation where I mean, and I hate to say anything negative about anything, but that building has been an eyesore for the colors it was for over the years. And I mean, are they gonna bring something that they're gonna show us what's gonna look like in the front of the building, or, you know, something maybe like a clapboard style front, or something that's is gonna dress it up a little bit, so when you drive by, it just doesn't look.
Yeah, they're putting clapboard on the front, they're doing some work on, it appears, I don't want to speak for the applicant, but it appears like they're doing some work on the header at the top. But yeah, we obviously don't want to look like another auto body shop.
So, I mean, you know, all this stuff we've been doing to control, to keep.
Yeah, absolutely, I mean, we want to.
Hills of Mendon on Route 16, though nobody was allowed to do anything over there, but then you got this, you know, this stuff going on, though. I mean, I think at least coming into Mendon, we should try to, you know, we got 3 probably site plan reviews between, including this one coming in front of us for in the near future, between across the street and next door to this place. So we should try to keep going. We should try to keep everybody on the same page, so nobody thinks we're treating them any different than anybody else, you know what I mean?
No, I agree with you, Damon, that's a good point. So,
So can you hear me? Matthew McGeorge here. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yes.
All right. So as the architect on the project, so we basically have an existing building that's a pre-engineered metal building. The important part here is going to be the impact of the landscape to dress up the site. Architecturally, I actually serve as the chairman of the Historic District Commission in East Greenwich, Rhode Island. So what we're proposing here is we've heard the comments of the previous hearing, and we're proposing a little bit of a stone veneer and a clapboard siding for the dispensary portion of the structure to elevate that to a level that's appropriate for the existing building. The logo and branding is currently being finalized, and obviously that'll come back before the appropriate boards and commissions for approval. Once that's finalized, and it'll conform to the requirements of the municipality. So again, I think we're, in a nutshell, we have provided some rendering updates, some material specifications to the portions of the building that we're affecting. And between that and the upgrades and updates to the landscaping plan, I think, we've tried to address the concerns of the town. It's a significant investment on those 2 elements alone. So, we're hoping that, if there's any additional conditions that you need to put on, that it could be approved conditionally. And we're all ears and, trying to work with you guys to make sure that it's as appropriate as, reasonable.
Yeah, what I would do is I can add a condition just that, the final rendering and appearance will be, needs to be approved by the planning board. And then, they'll be in the decision, and then you can come back to us when, you finalized all that with the signage and then if we've got to do a site visit, we can do that. And we can talk about what we'd like to do. But yeah, I think I understand it's an existing building and you guys are trying to work within that existing building. But Mendon is also trying, tonight, later in this meeting, we'll be discussing design guides for the town, a design guide for the town, which probably will be coming forward, pretty soon. So, we just want to get out in front of this stuff and stop making the town look more like it looked before these people started throwing up these steel buildings.
Yeah, and we're happy to work with the town, your design team, whoever that is, and the planning board. We also want a nice building. Obviously, it's a retail building. Core appeal is important, and I understand it's on the way into Mendon, and I understand the concerns of the city. So it's in everybody's best interest to have a nice building, one for this town and one for our customers and clientele.
Well, we certainly appreciate that.
And nobody's trying to be over the top on this. We're just trying to be within reason. If I understand we have two other buildings going up close by to you, so we stop. If, you know, if we do one thing for you, everybody's gonna wanna follow suit, so you're gonna want a nice building next to your building also, so we'll try to do the best we can to keep everybody looking good.
Yeah, no, and Matt, as Matt's on the phone, just a little bit about Matt. He's designed about 30 or 40 of these dispensaries now, to a very high finish, and this will be a high end finish dispensary. Thank you.
All right, so we've added that condition, condition on approval of the rendering by the planning board. Like I said, at any time, if you need us to come down for a site visit, we can do that. If you want to talk about it, absolutely, we can. I can post the meeting and we'll head down there.
Perfect. That'd be great.
Other than that, are there any more further questions? Anybody got any further questions? If not, I'll look for a motion on the floor.
Make a motion to approve the special permit conditions,
Site plan review. too.
site plan review for 47 Milford Street
Marijuana.
dispensary.
It's also a special permit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Public hearing
Yep.
and special permit with conditions.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All
I
those in
second.
favor?
James Quirk, aye.
John Vansel's aye.
Barry, aye.
Damon, I.
Ambrosino, aye. So it's a 5-0 approval.
Bill, was that just one condition?
What?
Was that just one condition on that?
No, there's a couple others that Jeff had
Okay, who's-
recommended, and
Okay, who's writing the decision?
it probably will.
Okay.
Unless your engineer would like to write the decision for the town.
We'd be happy to.
Okay, that would be great, because I've got a lot on my plate right now, and it would probably happen quicker if you did it.
I will do a draft. This is Randy Waterman from WDA. We will do a draft. We'll incorporate the comments that Jeff had tonight and others that the board has made, and then we'll get a draft to you, Jeff, and to Gail.
Beautiful.
Mr. Chairman, would you happen to have a draft that you could forward to Mr. Waterman?
Yeah, I do. We just approved another one, so I do have an example, but it sounds like these guys are pretty familiar with them, but.
They are, but they could follow the style of the Mendon
Yeah,
Planning Board?
absolutely. I'll send a copy over.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, Gail can send that directly to Niall. She has his email.
Yep.
One for the one on, just send them that. Okay. Other than that, I just need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing for 47 Milford Street.
Second.
All those in favor?
James Quirk, aye.
John Vansel's aye.
Barry, aye.
Damon, I.
Zeno, aye. That puts that matter to rest. Okay.
On behalf of Noble Manor, thank you for your time, and we look forward to working with the city, with the town of Mendon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Welcome. Good night, guys. Good night, Randy.
Good night.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, will you be needing me anymore this evening?
What's that?
Will you be needing me?
Let me just look at my agenda, and what do I have stuffed in here? I got a 5 Morrison Drive here. What the heck is this thing?
Some zoning bylaw clarifications? and
Yeah, I don't need you for
changes
those.
and-
35 Cape.
There's 5 Morrison.
No, we
Drive.
already, we closed the site
Did that
plan
one
review,
before you got here.
and we reopened it into a special permit site plan review, but we need to advertise again, so it'll be May 10th.
Okay.
No, we don't need you for the home business application.
And
Oh, Bill Drexel, hold on, Jeff, just while we got you here, you have a copy of the
That's it.
sketch plan for Jeff to really look at? Trying to figure out what they're doing here. Is Mr. Drexel on board? Come on up, have a seat.
Jeff?
This is Jeff, if you don't remember, I'll reacquaint you guys. This is the Bates project.
Yep.
Well, now Bates is looking to sell the property, and this gentleman has another,
I guess the prospective buyers of a, I guess a new,
is this three
development.
buildings?
I'm sorry?
Is this 3 buildings on here?
Yes, it's 3 buildings. They're 60 by 254. And what I did is I kind of put this together quickly for the meeting. But just to show you what we're going to do here, these would be like contractors types of
Storage unit?
garages on the bottom with an office, small office, and then there'd be office space or whatever up top on the second floor. There'd be metal buildings. The septic that you see that was the position that it was for the development in 2014. That has to be tweaked to adjust to the new development. So it might get a little bit bigger, smaller, depending upon the details from these buildings.
I think you're over the percentage of land utilization. You know, the zoning book.
These drawings here, these are reductions of.
Yeah, I just, how many acres are here and how much lot coverage?
This,
And 30% according to this plan.
this is 5 acres.
Okay, so you're at the 30% threshold?
That one in the packet. Yep, and that's the very last
Okay.
page. Last
So,
page. There you go.
Yeah, so these are going to be contract, because I want to clarify the use, because I've seen some of these in other areas where all of a sudden you got people doing repairs out of them, and now we've got a material issue, you know, if something leaks or something, you know, and you don't have proper handling for that in place.
my impression is that it's not going to be for doing repairs of any kind to anything. It'd be more or less a storage area for materials, say, like
Okay, because I'm probably
a
going to put
craftsman.
conditions on it. I'll probably put conditions on it that it can't, you know, house any hazardous waste or anything like that.
Yeah.
Materials like even liquid fertilizer, you know, I mean, if one of those drums broke or whatever they purchased it in, now we have a containment leak.
Yeah.
And you don't have proper drainage, any type of collection system to handle that,
Yeah.
you know.
In the previous development, that was specifically for
Right.
redoing hydraulics, so there was a real problem with, like, say, an oil spill or hydraulic, and there's actual repairs going on there. So we did have features in here to collect that separately, and that would, the garage drains would collect separately, go to another tank, and then that would be maintained so if it comes to that, we know we'll have to do something like that, is to keep that garage, if there's any idea that there's going to be that sort of thing or spill, it would be contained and collected in that system. And the previous system had like an alarm on it where we would get to a height and the alarm would go off and it would be pumped and taken away.
Now, how big are each one of these sections going to be?
These are 1,800 square foot each, and there's 8 per building. These buildings are going to be made freestanding, so that if somebody wanted, say, 2 units, they could take the wall down in between.
Gotcha.
And then each wall, each section, and this is where the architecturals, as they're being developed, would come into play, where there'd be a fire partition between each unit, that type of thing, for the code and all that. So protect the rest of the
1,800
building.
square feet. My issue is, and I come from the repair industry, and I've seen units like this turn into repair facilities, And that's what I want to guard against, is that all of a sudden we don't have somebody working on vehicles inside these facilities.
Yeah,
That's going to have to be strictly adhered to.
yes.
And you get the fire department right next door, so they're going to see it's not happening.
You're talking about the 1,800 square feet?
Well, just any type of repair. If you're going to have auto repair going on, or equipment repair, the potential, especially if it's hydraulics at all, the potential for spill. I mean, there's got to be a containment system in place for that.
Yeah.
It can't wash out. And
Hey, Bill?
Yeah.
There was a plan in place already for Bates' building.
Yeah. Now they're selling the property.
Right, but I mean, maybe he might want to talk to Bates and see if he can get a little input from them of the plan that they had in place.
Actually, I think he drew that plan.
Yeah, they're aware of those plans that we had from before. The
It might
perspective.
be something, because we approved those plans, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay, so that had oil spill area, containment areas and stuff like that,
Yeah.
that might be, and recharge systems and tanks that were going in the ground for any catch basins that were near the, near any area that could get, oil spills. So maybe it's something they might want to look into.
If they were a normal storage facility where the thing's, 10 feet wide by 15 feet deep, I wouldn't be concerned. But where these are 1,800 square foot units, now I have concern.
Yeah.
Someone could use it to package tractor trailer, and all of a sudden he's changing a wet system on the unit.
Each unit would be developed as an 1,800 square feet, so
Right.
if the contractor.
But if a guy takes two, now he's got 3,600.
Now he's got two drains.
He'll have a body shop running in there.
Right.
The last time, you'll see on here, an underground tank for fire water. When we talked to the fire chief the last time, we kind of settled on this underground tank. I think it was 10,000 gallons.
Yeah.
And we'll have to go through that iteration again to make sure that 10,000 gallons is okay, or what you folks need here for firefighting in this area.
Where is the tank on this plan?
No, it's not on this plan. It's on Bates' plan. He hasn't drawn it out on that plan.
So that site wasn't developed at all?
No, it wasn't developed at all.
So you start from scratch?
Starting from scratch, yeah.
There's an existing electrical transformer. It's at the driveway entrance. That would be extended into the site. I just showed it for right now, truncated at the driveway.
Yep.
We'll have to show how it's going to be extended in there. We'll have to work with the utility company on that. And I believe that the power that's available there, if there was enough power for Bates's proposal, so I'm sure there'd be enough power for these three buildings for lights and things like that. So it shouldn't be a problem with upgrading anything there electrically. You can see, I don't know how well it shows on your plan, but there's two detention ponds that are there. There's, as you go into the driveway, you drive between them.
Yeah.
One is on the left and one is on the right.
Yeah.
Those will have to be cleaned up, and they've been neglected, I think, for a while, but they would have to be cleaned up and getting all the weeds out and all the debris, that's in there over the years. And then what I had proposed to do with that one on, as you're coming in the driveway now, the one on the right, I have a line of, you see a straight line across here. It's actually some stone gabions. And what that does is that creates like a 4-bay. So any discharge from the storm runoff will go into there first. That'll take a lot of the sediments out. And then it'll overflow into the detention pond. And then there's just before those 3 pipes, like one of the driveway, there'll be another, see, a ring of stone to do a secondary trap and to get as much in that first pond as possible before it gets out into the second one and then out the door. So we'll have that proposed again to whatever degree we need. I don't think anything is going to change here stormwater wise with the amount of impervious area.
Now, are you planning on paving that entire area? Is there going to be some grass or?
Yeah, along the edges, we'll have as much green area as possible. On the last go around with Bates, we did have some pervious pavement to cut down on the runoff that was going into the system. We'll get as much of that in this proposal as possible, especially where there's low traffic areas where people won't be driving over it. The water supply, there should be adequate water supply here for the buildings. The septic, the drainage, the wetlands, as you're going into the site to the left, there's a row of wetland flags. Those flags are going to have to be redone, and because they've basically been 10 years, I think, since they had to put those in there. We had a hard time finding them in 2014. So we're going to have that reflagged again, make sure all our setback lines are good. The no build zone and so forth. And we may have to tweak these buildings a little bit, move them away to make sure that we're outside those zones.
Once again, just keep in mind for emergency vehicle. What I would suggest for you is to get to the fire department.
Yeah.
And talk to them before you go too far, because Mr. Kessler calls me and says, this plan ain't gonna work. We're pretty much gonna take him at his word.
We worked with the chief on that, fire chief on that last time too, to make sure that if they have to get behind the buildings, we've got enough room, and make sure all the turning radiuses are properly, are provided so that they can get their equipment around.
Just a question. These 2 buildings in the front, is there a method to just put those back to back with doors on each side and blend them together so you can drive around the building?
Wait a minute, I'm sorry, say that again.
Put these 2 buildings, along the side here.
Mm-hmm.
Right now you got them sort of separated and facing one another. Is there a way to put those 2 buildings together and have the doors on the outside? And that way would make the ability to drive around the building.
Oh, like I said, these buildings were placed here just to show that we wanted the 3 buildings. But we can rotate them or move them a little bit and still provide enough space.
Can you take the buildings and put them together and have an access from this side and an access
Oh,
from
I
this
see.
side?
No, I don't know if they want that or not, to put the buildings together like that. But that's an idea to do that, yeah.
It would make driving around the
And go
building.
around the whole thing.
60 by 200?
Yeah,
It's 60 by 200?
260 by 254.
How much
Yeah.
is that? 60 bucks.
But yeah, that's an idea that we might have to consider.
Yeah, we can discuss that further,
Yeah.
certainly.
15,200.
Property. We wanted to.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. They gotta go special permit because the buildings are over
Yeah.
Feasible on the site.
10,000
Okay,
square feet
okay.
anyway.
Yeah.
As long as we can get access to the building in the
Yeah.
back.
so if we have to do that, we can do it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure there's room for emergency vehicle.
Yeah.
You know, if there's ever fire in there, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
fire department needs to be able to get in there. And
So we'll have our dumpsters in the back for the trash, and we'll have a separate one for any recycled things, you know, stuff like that. But we had a wall along that, as you looking into the property on the left-hand edge where the wetland is on the left, we had some retaining walls in there to kind of keep from encroaching into the wetland and so forth. We'll probably still have those.
yeah,
There's two walls along the left side, and then there's a third wall that runs along the back. That slope comes down from the west property line in the rear of the property. It slopes down toward our site, and then we'd have that wall there. And the way we have this graded would be that when the water comes down off of that hill, it kind of gets collected, it goes left and right and comes around, so it doesn't sheet off the wall, you know what I mean? So we'll have a bit of a swale and train the water around, so we can collect that. And basically, that's about it. We would have those
Okay.
things to consider, and then,
couple things, because the size of the buildings needs to be special permit.
okay,
And these are two-story buildings?
yes.
Well, the one story.
Oh,
but
one story.
20-foot high ceiling.
Oh, divided inside,
Yeah,
Just one high ceiling.
yeah,
Okay.
20 foot,
Yeah, sprinkled.
yeah.
And the other issue, got me off my thought here, John.
Sorry.
Special permit, and, you know, I'd like to see some type of use declared at the time of special permit. So if there's any differentiate from that later, you'd have to come back to the board and get the use approved. Okay, we don't just like to blanket these large buildings and all of a sudden, we don't know what's in that building later.
Is there a general classification for industrial?
Yeah, we can do a light, some type of light industrial, which is like storage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or we can, I mean, if you're gonna, like I said, if any type of repairs or anything going on in the buildings, I mean, then we're gonna need to know about it because there's gonna have to be a collection system, and at that point, you know, you don't have to be digging the place up later.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, light manufacturing.
You'd rather just,
On that up front, because we're sort of speculative, so we're not quite sure who the end user might end up being
right,
day one.
gotcha.
If we can plan a variety of uses.
But yeah, and, you know, there's not gonna be a lot of constraints other than hazardous material storage. And, you know, because whenever you have those type of uses, then a collection system, if there was ever a breakage or.
So if you did floor drains in each bay, it's collected and
Yeah,
separated out.
yeah, and he's aware of that. He did that for Bates.
Right.
He had a plan drawn out for Bates. So you guys can discuss that. When you come back with the special permit, just be prepared.
If they're able to drive vehicles into the building, they're gonna have to have floor drains.
That's
and tight
correct.
tanks.
That's
Right,
good.
so that might be a moot point if it's
Yeah.
a requirement.
Yeah, if you drive in and store vehicles in a building, if they're gonna be storing vans and stuff, yeah, absolutely needs a collection. It needs a drain.
We have a gas tractor outside. We're looking at putting lineal drains across the entry doors, the collection of anything, so nothing will roll out of the building at all, and then a gas trap out in the main area.
But you can, you know, review that with the consultant here, Jeff Walsh, and he'll advise the board on what his feelings are again.
You could have light
If I may,
manufacturing.
Mr.
too,
Chairman,
right?
on that point, this area is not served by a public sewer, so in a public sewer situation, you use an oil grease trap, and then the effluent would be discharged to the public sewer. This has got septic. You cannot have a discharge of any effluent to the ground, even if it goes to an oil grit trap. So it has to be the tight tank, similar to what Mr. Drexel did with the Bates project. And there's a self-certification program through Mass DEP for that, and calls for secondary storage, alarms, so on and so forth.
I recall that.
Yep.
That was 7 years ago.
Say again,
That was 2014 we did that, Dave?
2014.
I've been on this board too
I'm
long.
fine.
I think we were all here, including the man on the speaker.
I just signed up again. I don't know.
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you have any further questions or
No, I think that's it.
board, any further questions? Anybody from the community have a question? See anybody? This is not a formal plan, so it's kind of just a development site. It's in the industrial park, so,
You can't have light manufacturing, right, Bill?
yeah.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, as I just some of the highlights of what I've got to look at is site plan review, compliance with the zoning bylaw with respect to site plan review. I'll also look at things like general engineering, which includes traffic circulation, able to move vehicles in and out of the parking spaces comfortably without multiple turns, trucks accessing the dumpsters, number of parking space requirements based upon the use. So the use will be important, just like we went through in something recently where if you don't know the use, it's hard to estimate. So you know where I'm going with that is there might be a process that the planning board might want to think about whereby after its decision is issued, if it issues a decision in the affirmative, that as the building is being occupied, go back and double check, okay, this is the use that's actually there. How's it compared to the approved use? What's the parking demands? So on and so forth. Don't want to use up 75% of the occupied space, but already used 100% of the parking is my point.
Okay. In snow storage, which,
I'll be looking at that as well, just, you know, a reasonable place that makes sense that snow can be stored, and it certainly can't be in the stormwater basins. All those things that require allocation of land, that's part of what I'll be looking at, in addition to strict compliance with the zoning bylaw requirements. Just, okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
guys have any other questions or?
Just in the terms of the special permit, is that a same body or is that?
Yeah, you can do it at the same time.
Okay.
They can run concurrently.
We can
We do it, we do a special permit site plan review hearing,
Like a
so
parallel.
they run together.
Okay.
No, we don't make you do it twice. I mean, most towns through expedited permitting have gone to putting the site plan and special permit in the same application. Other than that,
How long has the process been running for folks?
you know, maybe as long as you do what he asks, 2, 3 meetings, occasionally 4. Every once in a while, we get in a dogfight and it's 5 or 8 or.
And how often do you guys meet?
Twice a month, twice a month on Mondays.
Okay, all right.
Do you,
More than that?
do you folks outsource your engineering review, or do you do that in-house?
Yeah.
It's me. I'm
It's
the
him.
hired gun.
Excellent, excellent.
He's the high gun, yeah.
And I reviewed the Bates project.
Okay.
And he's nasty.
I'm what? That's all right.
Continue on.
Well, that makes it go a lot faster.
Do you guys have each other's contact info?
Yeah, do you have a card on you, Jeff? You can give him?
I do.
You guys, you know, we allowed, you know, you guys to work together even before the application gets here. However you guys want to use Jeff, just realize you're paying for his time.
I'm sorry?
Elton's time, you're paying for his time.
They're my client, but they pay me with your money.
Yeah. All right, other than that,
I think we're good.
See you when you come back.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Good night.
thank you.
Next.
Have a good one.
7 Cape
Chairman,
Road.
members of the board.
Yep, you're all set to roll.
All right, Jeff, thank you.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Jeff.
All right,
Stay
now, we'll move to the,
When we do a special permit, they shouldn't take long. You just have to vote for a public hearing date.
for what?
They've got to submit to us.
7 Cape Road.
7 Cape Road and 166 Millville Street.
Did they submit?
Yeah. So they're right here. And by accident, it was supposed to be the,
Just come on, let's. get
and I
rolling.
forgot to do it, so you have to redo 166 Millville Street.
Millville Street, what is
That's
that?
the one, the dog, they want to
Oh,
breed the dog. And 7 Cape Road is selling flowers and stuff.
we got 7 Cape Road.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is a dog breed. So do one,
166.
special permit for a dog breeding business of Labradoodles. You know, as long as they meet the defined criteria of the zoning bylaw, it shouldn't be an issue, but we'll hold the public hearing. Now, how many dogs is it that they're allowed?
I think she's there. She's in the chat.
Gail, how many dogs?
I think about 5. I
Yeah.
don't think more than that. Christie?
We probably should have an exact.
Yeah, is Christie on the meeting?
There's somebody, I think, who has an incentive cake.
Yeah, is someone from 7 Cape on the meeting?
It looks like she's muted.
Well, you're doing Mill Road, though.
But I think she's in the chat if you want me to type your question.
Well, just tell her that she's muted.
Tell it on you.
I don't think she has the ability to speak. I think she said her phone is not working.
Oh, all right.
Is that 7 Cape?
Yeah, I can leave.
We're jumping back and forth here.
She can't unmute her phone.
Well, tell her we need well, we can go through it in the public hearing. We'll just set the public hearing date.
Yeah.
We'll define the criteria in the meeting. It's no
You're doing
use.
Mill Road now, right?
Yeah, this is
But this other
161
one's
Millville.
Cape Road.
Yeah, this one here is 161 Millville Road,
161 or 166?
No, 166.
166 Miller Road, I'm sorry. The dog breeding business. We need to set the public hearing date.
May 10th.
May 10th.
Make a motion to set a public hearing date for 166 Millville Road for dog breeding on May 10th at 7 PM.
Second.
All those in favor?
James Quirk, aye.
Bill Ambrosino, aye.
Go ahead, Barry.
Barry, aye.
John, I.
Dave and I,
All right, and the last home occupation special
7 Cape
permit.
Road.
I'm just thinking this might need a site plan.
What is it?
They're selling flowers, and my concern is parking.
We're at 7 Cape Road.
How's the 7 Cape?
I'm sorry?
Which house is it on the right or the left? We're on the
Would be
right.
right after the restaurant there. No, that's,
Yeah, the White House?
no, I think after that.
It's the house with the big fence that used to be part of it. Big giant stone fence, I think.
I never go down there.
This is the person who's in the chat, but she can't unmute.
7 Cape Road?
7 Cape Road.
Sorry, next to the greenhouse.
yeah, it's the first house next to the greenhouse, little white
Okay.
house setback.
Why don't you advise her that we're gonna do a site plan review on it, just for parking, just to review parking, making sure there's
So
adequate
it's going to be a
parking.
site plan?
Special permit, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just, you know what? because it's not, and the expectation isn't going to be of great.
Is this Stanley Garden Forest?
No, it's on the other side of it. I think it's the White House.
Stanley Gardner's old house?
It's next to the greenhouse, Stanley.
Yeah, that's part of the greenhouse.
Says it used to be a retail store.
The building that was part of the greenhouse is what's now 5K.
Yeah, so it's the White House right next
So
to
it's
it.
the one after.
It was Stanley Gardner's old house.
Is that Stanley's old house? All right.
The White House in the back, John, the one that they just put a bunch of cinder block, like a cinder block wall with gates out front with like wrought iron on top of it.
I haven't been by there in a while.
It used to be a real estate agent years back.
Yeah, it used to be a
Okay.
real
Is
estate.
there parking?
I don't
What?
know.
There's a little bit of parking, but not much.
That's my concern, because they can't park on the state road.
No.
No.
So we're gonna have to address that. So put it down, advisor, it's gonna be a site plan review also. I'm
Okay,
gonna check the box here.
okay,
And they will have to, we'll address it in the public hearing.
okay,
Need a motion?
yes.
Make a motion to set a public hearing, site plan review for 7 Cape Road, May 10th, 7 PM.
Second,
All those in favor?
James Quirk, aye.
John Vance was I.
Barry, aye.
Bill Ambrosino, aye.
Dave and I.
Thank
All
you.
right. You guys making me work overtime tonight. You guys up?
What do we got?
We've got the age-restricted AROD overlay district. This encompasses the town property. And I will let, this is Jack Hunter and I already forgot. Duncan Chapman. Duncan Chapman. They're the people we hired to get an RFP on the property. After speaking with Jack, it seemed prudent that we do some type of districting to achieve what we want there. So a bylaw was written. Jack undertook a bylaw and he defined it. So I'm going to let you begin, Jack.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Duncan Chapman. He's the principal at Keller Williams Government Services. I assume people are in the audience, and I know there's somebody here. Just a little background. I know I've been with you guys a couple times via Zoom. Sometime back in the summer of 2020, the city, the Board of Selectmen selected Keller Williams to market and sell 3 properties. And I retired on August 1st of 2020, and I've known Duncan for quite a while, and he asked me to help out on this one particular property, and that's at Milford Road and North Avenue. And it's actually 2 parcels owned by the town. I have over 37 years of experience sitting on that side with staffing, planning boards, economic development, community development, grant writing, you name it, I've done it. And so, the first thing you kind of want to do is get a lay of the land, see what's possible there.
I hate to interrupt, but Bill, don't you have to read the ad that was posted in the?
Oh, yeah, actually, let me
Pause myself.
Sorry.
Let me pause.
Virtual
We
pause.
need to do protocol here.
You should add the folder over here.
Thank God you're there, Gail.
Oh, wow, I can't be perfect all the time.
All right.
All right, here's the other one.
Okay,
Right after.
beautiful. That's what we're supposed to have here. All right, I'm going to read the legal notice that was posted. And it basically, section 5.058 restriction overlay district. The AORD is to allow for an age-restricted residential development with a commercial component. The new bylaw includes sections on purpose, definitions, allowed uses, approved process, design standards, dimension requirements, light, parking, landscaping signage, site plan approval. The public hearing will be held at the Mendon Town Hall, 20 Main Street, Mendon, Mass. 01756. The AORD will be, it was located on the assessors map. Here's those glasses. It's on the edge of the page here. It's on map 8, lots 189-3 and 177.6, and numbered as 3 North Avenue and 6 Milford Street. Instructions for public participation will be posted with the meeting agenda on the town website and available for reviewing on the town website. This article was posted in the Milford Daily News on 3/26 and 4/1. Back to you, Jack.
Okay.
In the green folder, please.
So,
Thank you.
once I understood the job, I initially met with Duncan, and we actually looked at all 3 parcels, but mine in particular. I met with Bill, and we walked the site, gosh, probably in December. I don't remember exactly when. And I've talked to the town administrator several times. The notion after those discussions was to do kind of what we have in front of you, is to develop a mixed-use bylaw, have it be an overlay, so the underlying zoning still exists. And I brought that, the outline of that to you guys. You liked what I was doing so far. I also have gone in front of the Land Use Committee, and I've gone in front of the Economic Development Commission, and they all like what we're proposing. I think the best thing for me to do is to just, I'll briefly go through the bylaw. And I know I've done this before, but the purpose, as we said, is to develop over 55 housing. I've been told there's a need, and it's been demonstrated in your housing production plan, and in Duncan's firm, which is international firm, expressed that there is a need for over 55 housing. And have that be mixed use, so that there is some commercial component that's not necessarily, could be associated with the over 55, but it'd be open to the public. So the first thing is, you define what you're trying to allow, age restriction. You can't have more than 3 residents, at least one has to be over 55. This is standard statutory definitions of what over 55 is like. We put in components, and I stole some of this out of your existing bylaws for different features in town, low impact development, that we want mixed use, and the priority habitat. I want to talk about that. About the southern half, or the eastern half of the property, way down by Muddy Brook, is designated priority habitat by the state. And that means that they've identified that there is a rare species there, and I'm told it might be a turtle. And that whoever develops this, it doesn't prohibit development, but it draws attention to it, and that they have to get permission to mitigate it and to kind of coexist, if you will. I've taken this a step further, and we have hired a wildlife biologist and I actually talked to him on my way here today, and he has worked with Natural Heritage for over 20 years. He's now in the private sector, and he is going to approach them on your behalf, our behalf, to get an outline of exactly what they're looking for and what kind of mitigation they want. He suspects that it's not going to be a game changer. So I wanted to get ahead of that. Allowed uses, single family is allowed today, 2-family would be over 55, multifamily would be over 55, and we are allowing commercial with retail, professional offices, and things like that. As far as the approval process, and I talked to Bill about this a couple times, it's a two-step process. They'll be required to go in front of you for a special permit on the concept plan. And the concept plan will outline kind of what they want to do, that there's enough infrastructure, and you'll have your engineer look at what they have planned. And if they can pass that hurdle, then they would go to site plan review. And as you know, that's an as-of-right use. So it's a two-step process, and they don't have to spend a ton of money. They'll have to spend some to know whether they can get past the first step. In the concept plan, you know, you have to have a kind of what you've had in front of you tonight, a general idea of what the constraints are, the access, building, how they're going to deal with utilities, runoff, in this case, wells and septic systems. And let me talk about that. I should have said this in the beginning. As you know, and I'm not telling you anything anyone probably listening knows, there's no water and sewer on the site. And in my business, we consider that this site is restricted by engineering. You can only get so much well and especially so much septic on that site. We guesstimate about 85 bedrooms, give or take. They can get into some more extravagant engineering on septic removal and maybe get up to 100. But if they have commercial, those bedrooms go down because they'll be using some of the septic usage. So that's all you're going to get there, or that is what you're going to get there at maximum. I have no idea, and I'll talk about the process in a minute. The design process, I've used many of the design criteria that you already have in your bylaw. But as Bill alluded earlier on another case in front of you, I put in that you're going to utilize the amended design guideline handbook if adopted. You have not adopted it. The land use committee really wanted me to put that in there, and if you don't adopt it, they can't follow something that's not adopted. If they do, these are suggestions. The handbook, in my opinion, is well done, and it kind of guides the developer to having real tasteful designs. Minimum tract, I put 20 contiguous acres. We're only talking about this property. It's 21 acres. The density, I put 10 per acre. That'd be 200 units, but again, it's going to be limited by engineering. The notion is maybe they'll have water there someday, but it's not there today. Frontage, I put 100 feet. That's what it is today. And I want to talk about, you're in an advantage with the process as well. Parking, we did 1.5 per residential unit. And in addition, these amounts shall be determined by the planning board. So it gives you a lot of negotiation power and to get some reasonableness. Lighting, I took the lighting out of your existing bylaw, section 4.02. I did the same with the landscaping, and I did the same with the signage out of section 2.06. Open space requirement, because of the priority habitat, and after talking with Bill, we decided that the applicant shall make every effort to preserve as much open space as possible, and all dedicated open space must follow the open space requirements that you currently have in 3.04. And then site plan review, you do that every day. And then most importantly, we talked about planning board waivers, and after consultation with the chairman, we made the waivers shall be a majority vote of the planning board. Now, the reason I wanted to go through the process, this is town-owned property. If we're fortunate enough to have town meeting approve, the board approve it, and then town meeting,
we would go out to RFP almost immediately. We did go out for a request for information from the development community, and we had 4 developers interested. 2 of them were seriously interested. They didn't show all their cards, but if you know, and maybe Duncan can speak about this at the end, Keller Williams has a big portfolio of developers, and we're pretty confident we can find one that will do something tasteful and something that the town can be proud of and put it back on the tax rolls. Having said that, the advantage you have is that hopefully town meeting approves it, we go out to RFP. If the Board of Selectmen don't like what they get, they don't have to approve it. And it'll never come in front of you, and it's going to stay the way it is until they do get what they like, and then it will come in front of you. And as you know, you deal with this every 2 weeks. People come in on their own property or someone else's property, and you listen to it and hear it. But this one you won't even get if the Board of Selectmen don't like what they see when a proposal comes in. I think it's a well-written, of course I wrote it, overlay district. I did have several people take a look at it. Bill had an engineer colleague of his take a look at it. He had some good suggestions. And I know the town administrator had some good suggestions. And I have not heard from town council yet, but they'll be looking at it. Yeah, I haven't heard, but I know that she has it. So that's the process, and that's where we're at, and I'm happy to answer anyone's questions that I can.
What is the lot depth on this? Do you know, Jack?
The depth?
Yeah, I can,
Oh, gosh. It's pretty deep, if that's what you're asking.
yeah.
I don't have the dimensions in front of me, Bill.
I got a bunch of plans with no dimensions.
Yeah, you know what, the town.
You know, it is not surveyed, this lot that we know of, and I did, you know, it would be nice to have it surveyed in advance, but the developer's gonna have to survey it anyway.
What's the conservation strip along 16? How deep is that? Do you know that?
That's 200.
It's 200 feet?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just from the river up, though.
And it's 200 from the river up too.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah, but I don't think that's 200.
restriction on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is not 200 feet deep, though, along Milford,
What's that?
if that's the
It's not
question.
200 feet.
What is
There's
the
a 200-foot
conservation?
conservation restriction from Muddy Brook to the top of the hill.
I believe there's 200 feet from the.
That is, okay.
From the road edge too, right?
I'll take your
Road
word for
center?
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We feel
Pretty sure it's the
confident,
edge of the road.
we feel confident that this can be built upon without that, without touching that. I did ask the town administrator, and the word I got was that that's pretty much untouchable. It's pretty hard to remove a conservation restriction.
Yeah, well, it can be done, but it's just, I don't think the town's gonna go through the expense to do that.
Right.
You know, it'd probably cost them $100,000 to remove the restriction, and the town's already spent enough money.
And actually, you know, this came up, I think, at the land use committee. It may be beneficial. It
Yeah,
may
well,
be,
it's residential mostly.
right.
And it may end up being all residential.
And then you have a 200-foot natural buffer along Milford.
Setback.
Setback.
Yeah.
So that may be a benefit both to the developer and the town.
That could be landscaped or whatever.
You've got the design guidelines in here, you've got the low impact development in here,
Yep.
landscaping criteria, signage. .5 spaces per residential unit.
And I followed that with the sentence that you'll be the final determiner.
Right. Mm.
You know, there's the notion that over 55, they have less cars. I think that's probably true.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah.
My wife and I have 2 cars.
Well, I don't, it depends. If you're 56 or if you're 78.
That's right. Well, I'm neither.
I'm 76 and I got 5 cars.
Well, gosh, well, you can't live here, I'll tell you.
Yes.
You can, you just can't bring the car.
That's right, that's store.
I'm gonna,
You can rent a couple.
Jack, if you don't mind, I'm gonna
that's right.
continue this to the next meeting only because I want to talk to council about it.
Sure.
Is
Is there anything you need?
Yeah, we have time before the annual, so.
Well, just following chapter 40A, you will need to vote on it by the next meeting.
Right, 14 days before.
Right, otherwise it can't.
Yeah, we'll vote at the next meeting. I just want to go over with council and make sure she's,
That's the town meeting.
so we're not overstepping our bounds. I've got myself in enough hot water on.
I don't think
Otherwise,
we
I
are.
shouldn't
I can tell you that I know Kim gave it to her at the last selectmen's meeting or before it.
Yeah, I'll be talking to Cindy tomorrow anyway, so.
And I haven't talked to, and no one's told
And,
me.
you know, I want to talk to Pat about the numbering sequence. Generally, we utilize,
I made those, I followed what you have in your bylaw
Okay.
now.
okay,
That's why I picked it up right where you were.
okay. Okay.
I'll probably chime in unless you call me, Bill. I will go on virtual next time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Unless
Yeah,
you-
unless there's an issue.
There's an issue, I want to be here.
But let me give the community an opportunity while you're here.
Yep.
To express their concerns. Does the board have any
Support.
questions? I mean, I've looked this over quite a bit. You know, I think, to be honest with you, and this is a pill Mendon's gonna have to swallow anyways with the changes coming in chapter 48 regarding multi-unit housing. A lot of stuff's gonna be as of right going forward. So, you know, 3-4 unit families, up to 10 unit families in a small town like Mendon are gonna become more resident. Anything large in that might be tough squeeze because we don't have public transportation, but certainly I can see that that we've got some challenges ahead in zoning.
And with over 55, there's really no impact to the schools.
No, and I think that's a good component on a piece of property that's, you know, the town's trying to move. I think,
Probably the best use for that land.
yeah, because at this point, you know, I mean, it's, I think it's an opportunity to, for the town to make a good decision here. And I'll leave that to the select board, but, you know, I don't think at this current time they have any other use for the property, so. With that, I'll take any questions from the community if you have any. Mr. Sweet.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
350 Milford Street. If that land does get deemed to be used for over 50 housing, will that take it off the tax roll? Will that change it from the residents of Mendon paying for that land and have?
Yeah, whoever purchased, because with the town will sell the property, so they're gonna make an initial cash flow, and then obviously the tax roll is the bullet that lies ahead for us. I
Right
mean,
now, there's no taxes,
there's
obviously.
no tax on it, so. So now let's
Right,
give,
it's the Mendon residents paying the tax on it.
well, there is no, I mean,
Yeah, but
we don't pay a tax.
But you're
on it.
not getting anything.
We're not getting anything, and that's the problem.
The tax flow is zero.
You know, whoever builds those properties are gonna be paying the tax revenue.
How many units are scheduled? You said 85 bedrooms?
85 bedrooms.
Is there 2 bedrooms per unit?
Whatever the developer wants. If he wants 1 bedroom, he can do 1, or if he wants 2. he
Yeah, I
can
don't see any more than 2. can only have 3 people there.
Over 55 is
No, I'm in favor of it.
No,
trust
but
me.
it's a thought process we've been going through. This is,
Actually, that might be something I looked at the next meeting, is that we put a maximum of 2-bedroom on. There's over 55 is generally a 2-bedroom unit.
Exactly.
You know, it's a great use of the land, but it's behind the conservation easement, it's gonna be tucked in the back,
And you know what, if the right developer comes in, it can end up
You have to
looking
get the
awful
right
nice.
developer.
You know, it'd be a nice entry into town to have a 55 community.
If you,
Because right now, we don't have any housing for over 55.
if you do come up with some changes, let me know so I can get them. I'll get them to Gail and you guys can have them for the next meeting and I'll highlight them so you'll know that they're changed.
Sounds good.
Hey, Bill, you got a couple people with their hands raised.
I'll pick one, Dan.
Hi, I'm Rosemary Cascio.
Yes, Roseanne.
At 167 Blackstone Street. I guess my question is, when we bought the land, we talked about affordable housing. And I know Mendon, well, at least the last time I knew, Mendon didn't meet the state's criteria for affordable housing. So why are we talking about over 55 when a developer could come into town anywhere and say, especially looking at this where it's, 85 bedrooms on 20 acres and just say,
Yeah, I can give you the short answer on that is, what do we want to be the gateway to our community? Affordable housing units don't necessarily end up being the most attractive. Developers take shortcuts because there are constraints as far as how much they can charge. So I'm not sure that would be the location we would look to put this type of 55 community.
but affordable housing isn't necessarily you build the whole thing as affordable housing and it's a piece of trash. It means that some of the housing is affordable and the rest isn't. So
it still affects the bottom line of the developer, but I'll let Jackie answer the question for you.
The town currently is like 2.7% affordable and 10%'s the threshold. I have talked to several people about affordable housing. The thing with affordable housing is it takes anywhere from 3 to 5 years to get funding, let alone build it.
Yeah.
Number 2 is that the more affordable housing you build, it's profit negative.
Right.
So they have to have more density to make it profitable.
Yeah.
And we only have limited density, 85 bedrooms to deal with here. So the town made that decision. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, this would not be this would not be the property that would be convenient for.
So we're talking about high-end over 55 housing?
No, we're going to be particular in the design criteria. And someone who's generally doing a affordable housing, they're not going to be as concerned with design criteria.
Interested on 40B.
Yeah, I mean, what generally you see when that happens is a 40B or something like that type of development that comes in. And the state supports those type of projects, so it limits the town on what their availability, what they're able to do. So by restricting to over 55 community, kind of removes us from that pool, and we have better governance over the project. And to be honest with you, the affordable housing numbers, we've been working hard to achieve those numbers.
Come on.
Most small towns like Mendon are never going to achieve the 10%. They're just never going.
30 years ago, I was on the Affordable Housing Committee and nothing was done. And I don't see anything in the 30 years that Mendon has done much of anything to improve the 2% to 10%.
You know, we don't, yeah, we don't have the,
You have a housing coordinator.
yeah, we've had a
Okay.
housing coordinator for 10 years now, affordable housing coordinator. And Mendon just doesn't have the type of properties that would be conducive to
Okay.
the type of,
You don't have the.
That brings me to another question, a legal question. Okay,
Yeah.
if we allow the overlay and we get 85 bedrooms in this grouping and, with the engineering and all that, what's to prevent some developer or some other piece of land saying, I want to build affordable housing here?
well, there's an overlay district, so.
Yeah, but
It's
if it's not a 55, I mean, it meets the same criteria as a 55 in terms of the housing and the density and all that. Legally, why is it different to prevent a developer from some other town, from some other part of town to say, I want to build this in my 20 acres. It's the same density, it's the same number of bedrooms. It's just not over 55, and why not? And then you get onto the
I mean, they
48 that pushes that says, yeah, they can do that. And you have no control.
As long as they meet the engineering guidelines of the town, they could build it. Unfortunately, because of no sewerage, no water, meeting those are extremely difficult. So, I mean, they're almost impossible. And that's why we took this piece of property, the density of the property and stuff makes it work for 85 beds, which probably is like, 40 units. So with the mix of commercial, it makes it a little more appealable to someone who's coming in to develop a nice project. Someone who's looking to develop one of those type of projects and not looking to develop a nice project, they're with the lack of, they're looking for as much money out of that as they can get. With the lack of sewer and water in Mendon, that's unattainable. So, I mean, that's the difference between the two. I mean, that's always been Mendon's problem, not having water and sewer. I mean, it just doesn't bode well for any type. Who knows, maybe with the changes in 48 regarding multi-unit housing, the state will step up and pay for some. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, water and sewer, it hasn't been on the table in this town for a long time, so there's really nothing that, like I said, it's been one of the detractions of Mendon for a long time.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Well, anybody else?
I think there was somebody on.
Somebody else have their hand up?
Yep, Kathy
Yeah,
Schofield.
Ann Mazar and Kathy.
Okay.
Go ahead, let Ann talk. I'll go after.
Okay.
Hi, Ann Mazar, 50 Pleasant Street. I just wanted to address that affordable housing comment that on the annual town meeting, we actually are asking to set aside some property for affordable housing and doing it very well and very nice. The design guidelines that were put together that they're going to talk about later in the meeting were actually put together for affordable housing. And then we realized, like, why not have them for the whole town?
And I really don't want to get off topic here because this is a public hearing. So
Okay,
we
but
can
anyways,
talk about it when we go back to the design guideline.
Okay, but anyways, so the affordable housing is actually being addressed. And, if you want to call me sometime, I can talk to you about it.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, it's a matter of Mendon ever achieving 10%, I think it would be a stretch. I mean, that's my personal opinion, but. We obviously want to move in the right direction, but
Every town like you struggles.
yeah, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. Kathy.
Hi, Kathy Schofield, 135 Blackstone Street. So I have a general concern about developing that area where we've been down there doing work on the pollinator garden. It is a very wet area in the lower section. And I wonder if it's really even viable to have that many septic systems in that area. And I guess, speaking from a public perspective, what exactly are we looking at when we're talking about 40 units, mixed use? I mean, is there any way to, demonstrate what that's going to look like? Because my concern is that we're putting it on a heavily trafficked corner, in and among all the new development in that area, which will include a strip club and a cannabis shop. And I just feel like, we're just putting square pegs in round holes and hoping it works. And and that's a personal opinion, but what about the wetness of that land?
I can speak to that. The wetlands, there's a 200-foot buffer that's mandated with wetlands, and this property is outside of that 200 feet. So none of this property can touch any of the wetlands nor the buffer area. And according to the wildlife biologist I talked to, that they probably most likely will not need to go in front of the Conservation Commission. So that's good. That's a good thing. I also would encourage, and I believe they will, take their septic systems and place them as far away as they can, though they could go up to 200 feet away. So in 40 units, if it is 40 units, it might be less, is really not a lot on 21 acres. That's pretty normal. And these design guidelines are very strict and very proactive. And again, the selectmen can reject it if they don't like what they see. And that's even before it gets to the planning board, who can then even put more guidelines on and more restrictions or design criteria. So I think you're in a very fortunate position to have many cracks at this.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, Kathy, that's going to all come out through engineering. Once the developer, works out an RFP with the town. They'll come out in engineering. They also need to meet stormwater. They also need to meet the Board of Health, septic design regulations. So, I mean, there's a long way to go before we get there, but it's not like, you can just, they're going to have requirements they need to meet.
Right. 15 years ago, I did a 56 unit over 55 development that had a community septic system and a community well.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would be ideal, actually.
Right. You don't need to have individual septic
cheaper.
and individual well.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing a lot of towns doing this stuff now. And like I said, Chapter 40A is, I don't know if they've actually finalized it yet, but Chapter 40A is going to look a lot different, where all of a sudden we're going to have things by right. So people are going to be able to come in, put a multi-unit development, and that would be the last thing we probably want to see land on the doorstep at the corner of our gateway.
Yeah, I certainly understand, and thank you for the clarification. I think what I'm trying to point out is that depending on season to season, that land behaves differently. Sometimes it's like a swamp, and any tractors, moving through there leave big marks. So it's very unpredictable. And I guess, how do you plan to install septic systems when the wetness of that area is unpredictable?
We have to perk.
Well, yeah, they'd have to do perk testing and
engineering.
And, like I said, they'll come on the engineering. They'll probably relieve some of it through stormwater management. So there might be some captured there, but it's not an issue that's exclusive to that corner property. About the whole town of Mendon is kind of on the same soil. And anytime you go and put up a building, where my building is. You go a foot in the ground, that's why mine's built on a pad. You go a foot in the ground, you hit water.
Yeah.
So it's not, it's not exclusive to the corner property, but, that's why the state has the regulations in place regarding stormwater and septic design. If they can't get it done, then it's never going to be built.
Right, right. Well, it's just good to see what the obstacles are in front of you before, we.
Absolutely. That was a great question.
Yep.
And the other, this is more of a recommendation, and I know, the Historical Commission has made it, and, Anne has worked on this, but the design guidelines that they developed for the affordable housing are really exceptional. CMRPC did an extraordinary job, and I really think that this, they should be considered for this particular spot, because you are in a high visible area and you want to, I would believe that people would want some privacy on that corner, as opposed to having a lot of lights flashing into their properties, with all the traffic. So, I think that those guidelines that they developed are very strong, and they address a lot of issues. So,
Yeah, I worked in the early days when that began. I worked with CMRPC on that. Generally, design guides are used as a recommendation to design.
Yep.
And usually most developers will follow them. It's really difficult to make people follow a design guide by the letter. But, we have ways of making people comply.
And Kathy, the design guidelines are in the bylaw.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I just, I particularly took to the ones that they worked on with CMRPC because they're very specific.
Yeah,
that's
and I think they are not open to too much interpretation, so that there's less guesswork involved.
Well, the thing is, once again, they can be recommendations. It's like any bylaw you put in place. There's always not strict adherence. There needs to be, like, I'll give you an example. They tried it down the Cape Cod on 6A. And they have a strict set of guidelines, but it's also a historical district guideline. They were able to prove that many years ago. They've held dear to that, but then they tried to push some of that to the southern end of the state, which wasn't southern end of the Cape, which wasn't, really historical in nature, and it didn't work out well for them. So, in certain circumstances, it's going to have to be a, like, for us to force those type of design guidelines on Route 140 in an industrial area, it would be in a highway business district, would be very difficult. Would be extremely difficult.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't believe it's impossible. I believe that you could ask people we need to raise the bar as a community as to what we allow to happen.
Yeah, the board, now that we have a set of guidelines in place, we have ways of making them do as far as they can go without making the project unfeasible. That's always the question. It's like even talking with 47 Milford Street tonight. That's an existing building.
Yeah.
And they're being willing to change that building for us.
Yeah.
That's an ask. That's not a demand. We're asking them to be a nice neighbor, and we'll work with them, but that's not a demand saying you have to change that building.
Right, right.
Because that's not going to work. But so the planning board, we've worked harder to make that happen. Now that we have set the design guidelines, we'll work even further to that. Like I said, I was involved early on with CMRPC with it. I think it's a good set of design guidelines. I'm glad we're finally bringing them to fruition. And, I mean, I think they've been available for quite some time, actually, but, it's good timing, especially with this project coming out in the corner.
Thanks for the answers. That's great. Thank you.
Kathy, anytime. Any other questions? If not, anybody else? Okay, I'm going to continue this to the next hearing date, just so I can get with council, make sure we've, we need to continue the public hearing from May 10th.
Make a motion to continue the overlay district.
Yeah, I don't think you guys need to be in the room. It'll just be
And Gail, what's the next date?
May 10th.
That's after town meeting. 26.
I mean, April 20th. Yeah, what am I saying?
Help me.
You're right. April 26th.
You scared me there.
Yeah, April 26th. You're right, Jim. Good thing someone's paying attention.
I'm sorry? Yes.
All those in favor?
James Quirk, aye.
Bill Ambrosino, aye.
John Vansel's aye.
Barry, aye.
Damon, aye.
I think you did a nice job on it, Jack.
Oh, thank you.
Like I
Very
said, I
good.
just want to make sure we're not
Yep.
overstepping anything.
Just let me know in
I
advance.
was hoping, because Cindy and I had talked about it, I was
Get
hoping
the
to hear
right
from
people
her
in
by
there, it'll
now,
be
but,
fine.
I'm surprised.
yeah.
Yeah.
Make a motion to adjourn.
No.
Actually, we have,
We have the
Design
open space.
guidelines.
Yep,
what public?
Where's the bathroom?
Oh, yeah,
one back here.
yeah, the open space changes.
There's one back here. Yep,
Yeah, that's fine. Good.
single use.
These are just some minor changes to the open space, here.
Hi, James.
Here, Jim.
Zoning bylaw,
I'd be with you, but we'd lose a corner. Oh, still got Damon.
that's section 5.05, you can have that back.
I can go.
Huh?
We're gonna move along very quickly, though.
And then we got 3 or 4.
I'm ready to fall asleep.
Yeah, it's getting beyond my bedtime.
All right, we're gonna open the public hearing for the,
Please.
for the bylaw review changes. Amending, the zoning bylaw 3.04 in accordance with MGL Chapter 48, Section 5. A public hearing will be, held on Monday, April 12th, 2021 at 7 PM. Well, it's not 7 PM, but it was listed as 7 PM. Yeah, yeah. See if the town will amend section 304 open space communities bylaw, amending zoning bylaws to changing and clarify sections of the bylaw. Copy of the proposed amendments are available at town clerk's office. It was advertised in the Milford Daily News on 3/26 and 4/1.
So the changes of the items with the lines through them, correct?
I think they're identified in here. There's only a few changes. They're minor in nature. They're more of a corrective changes.
So we can just go through them real quick. Number 4.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see where they start. Did you have a yellowed copy?
Seems to be number 4 on the second page.
Oh, you don't have a color printer? No. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Town can't afford a color printer?
How many do you need?
Yeah, because I want them to see the changes. Actually, I got a yellowed copy right here, but if you could print 2 more copies, that'd be great, Dan. Yeah, it's hard to see, though.
So it's number 4.
All right, the first change would be, you get a copy of Ann's design guidelines? Because I wanted to, you know what, do me a favor,
Yeah, I've got it right here. I'm gonna put it in for the next meeting. But I have the guideline right here.
yeah, put it in for the next meeting, but I also want everybody to get a copy, so either email or,
I got them right here.
Well, you can give these guys,
He
but
emailed us a copy before.
did you? Okay. Did you guys look at it all? It's
I
pretty,
have.
it's actually pretty,
Yeah, I looked at it.
pretty impressive. All right, so we'll start in section 3.04, the open space communities bylaw. If you go to, the first change would be in section 4, where it says a sketch plan or conceptual plan, preliminary plan shall follow a design process as described in section 3.04.
And 4B,
Okay. If you go down to 4B, it says the location of existing handicap features including forest farm, fields, meadows, wetlands, riverfront areas, water bodies, archaeological and historic structures or points of interest, rock outcrops, stone walls, cliffs, high points, major land views, major tree groupings, noteworthy tree specimens, and habits of endangered or threatened wildlife as identified in primary and secondary resource according to section 3.04 EI. So the change is changing the section. It was originally noted as section 2.05 EI. It is now section 3.04 EI. And that's the only change recognized there.
You got one, Gary?
I gave you mine.
Oh, I thought you had two. Sorry.
I flipped it over to you.
Okay.
All right, moving forward. Under section, they gave us that blank page. Section, yeah,
Section 4V,
4V.
section 4.
V is in victory.
B, it says lot yard and coverage regulations. And it used to say section 2.05G, now it says section 3.04G.
Right.
More of a numbering correction.
And 4
Aye.
I.
Design standards F would be, where are you? 4I, H. So it says, open space requirements, a minimum of 55% of the site shall be open space. Since wetlands deserve the highest protection possible, large contiguous wetland areas shall be preserved in open space. Wetlands may count toward the minimum open space area requirement provided, however, that no more than 50% of the calculated minimum area.
Is that 50%, Bill? Looks like 0%.
Oh, 0% of the calculated, yeah, okay. You say, what the hell did it say before?
It
Oh, it
said
looks
zero
like,
before, now it says 45.
No, they got a line through 45.
Do you want, I can tell you what it is.
yeah, sure, Ann, if you could fill us in on that.
Yeah, it's just, it used to be 50% could be wetlands. And
Yeah.
so the change is to have it be only 40% can be wetlands. So 50% is a lot. As you saw with the last open space subdivision that was presented.
So no more than 40% can be calculated wetland. Okay, gotcha. All right, open space shall be solely for recreation, conservation, outdoor education, and architecture proposes by the public. Instead of Mendon residents. Okay, the next chain is ownership options.
No, monumentation.
Oh,
Monumentation.
oh, mine didn't come out yellow for that.
J,
Cheapest.
monumentation.
All right,
Before the first lot release, the boundaries of the entire open space area shall be surveyed and clearly marked by a qualified surveyor with all costs of the survey and monumentation borne by the developer. Planning board shall determine materials used for monumentation, location, placement of the monumentation,
Period.
period.
It's pretty self-explanatory, and it replaces where are not readily observed in the field, the planning board may require placement of surveyed bounds sufficient to identify location. This sort of forces them to put those boundaries in. Ownership options. The tract for which an open space residential development is proposed shall be in a single ownership or control at the time of the first lot release and have a clear title. At the planning board's option, all areas to be protected, open space shall be transferred before the first lot release and have a conservation restriction as specified below in section 3.04M.
Actually, that, the copy is a little bit different than that. That's not the final change. That's like posted on the town website.
Okay.
There's actually two different versions posted, I'm thinking.
Well, what should it be in?
It should be just, this is what would be taken out. At the developer's option and subject to approval by the planning board, all areas to be protected open space shall be transferred before the first lot release. And instead, it would say, the planning board may require that all areas to be protected open space be transferred before the first lot release. All open space areas shall have a conservation restriction as specified by law below, and then a change in the section number because that was incorrect. And so basically what this is doing is it's not the developer's option to protect the open space. I mean, they have to do that. It's, you know, in the hands of the planning board.
Yeah, gotcha.
And actually the last change is just right before the end where it says, section M under permanent restriction, and what's added is as described in section 3.04I.
They added in.
Is that last piece in addition to, before the first lot release, a memorandum of agreement shall be signed by the planning board?
Yeah, that's not in it. Cindy said that she didn't think the Attorney General would approve that, and she suggested that the memorandum of understanding just be in the subdivision regulations so that the planning board, you know, can do
has
that.
governance. Okay, we can do that.
Yeah, and if you look on the, I can resend these out to Gail and she can distribute them, but on the website, what I
have
read
the
to
other
you is,
copy here, and it's more correct. So,
Bill, is yours in color? Is the changes in blue or red?
they're in yellow.
Well, that's not
All right. Well, we've identified what all the changes are. There don't seem to be any issues. So, Damon, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I'm gonna look for a motion just to approve the changes. Hold on. Were there any questions from the community? Is there any community out there? Doesn't look like it. You see any questions, Dan?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a motion.
Kathy's got her hand up, but that could be even before.
Sorry, no questions.
Okay, thanks, Kathy.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the changes to section 304 Open Space Communities Bylaw as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Damon.
Aye.
Gary, aye. Damon already said aye.
Oh, Bill Ambrosino, aye. And then
Motion to adjourn.
No, we need a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Don't forget the design guidelines.
We're gonna talk about them briefly, but we're probably gonna go over them at the next meeting. I've already looked at them. I think they look great. But I want to give these guys a little more time to go over them and make sure, but I think we can get it done at the next meeting. Tonight was,
Is that part of this public hearing?
no, it's not part of this public hearing. It really doesn't require a public hearing. Just requires an adoption by the planning board.
So I'll make a motion to adjourn then.
And I second it.
You got to close the public hearing.
No, I make a motion to close the public hearing for the open space.
Did we?
Yeah.
We already did that. All right.
Okay, hold on, just,
Did you want to go over them tonight, Ann, or you okay with waiting until the next meeting?
Well, I would like I asked to have them on this meeting and they weren't put on. And so if they could be reviewed and then maybe voted on at the next meeting. They're very simple to look at and they're very
Yeah,
good.
that's why I just wanted these guys to all go through them, and if anybody had any questions at the next meeting, we could just vote on.
Okay, that would be great because it would be helpful for, the development of Route 16 and other,
Yeah.
things in town.
Yeah, like I said, I was involved early on when CMRPC started that. I was working with Bill, obviously, and CMRPC. I don't know whether they've changed intermittently since then, but at that time, they were almost done at that point, and they were looking good. They were looking very good.
Yeah,
CMRPC does a good job.
The only changes on it are to make it universal, and we took out for affordable housing, so
Yeah.
that, and then, that was the biggest changes.
Okay. All right.
What do you have, Gail?
Did you hand those out? Did you hand those design guidelines out?
oh, I thought Barry said he had, did John pick
I have
up?
one email.
No.
Why don't you give them a copy?
You want one, Bill? Do you need one?
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put it in my notebook for the next meeting, so why don't you give me one?
All right.
That way I have it when we come to the next
You can
meeting.
hold mine for the next meeting, because I have them on email.
What's that?
You can hold mine for the next meeting, that way it's here.
Hold Barry's for the next meeting. Those are John's.
You just gave John another one.
No. Billy put the first one in his book.
I put them there.
Oh, okay. Hey, Barry, you have to sign the.
Oh, you guys are killing me. Is it me that's overtired or you guys?
Bring a pen. I don't have a pen. Am I signing?
The Worcester Registry of Deeds form that we do every year.
Yeah.
Any other members of the community out there that has a last minute question before we adjourn the meeting? I do want to get those design guides are well laid out.
Yes, they are.
And don't act like you had anything to do with them.
I didn't. I wouldn't. I just read them.
Yeah, no, they're very good, very good.
So, Bill, I have a question.
Ann's been a proponent of that for a while. Shirley and I had worked on our own, and let me tell you what, it was a nightmare trying to do our own. And CMRPC did a much better job.
Hey, Damon?
So I passed on to
Yes.
CMRPC what we had, Shirley and I had come up with. I
Damon,
mean,
can
she went
you
a little
come in?
crazy. She had
Yeah, I'll stop by tomorrow, Gil.
This
She had
is
all
for the
types of
Worcester
stuff on.
Registry of Deeds, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop by tomorrow.
Hey,
Oh, to be honest, with you, used to seen Shirley's. Oh, my God. There you
hey,
go.
Damon, do you need the copy of that design guidelines too?
No, I looked at it already.
Okay,
To be honest with you, it's cut in half from Shirley's. Oh. When we were sitting down writing Shirley's,
all right, I got one more thing.
She said there were only recommendations. I'm like, yeah, well,
Okay.
unfortunately, people interpret recommendations as law. And,
Cut a branch on Mount Pleasant.
oh, don't forget these.
Oh, God, yeah. Raj called up and wanted to find out for Cook's Crossing that they're supposed to, put 2 trees in front of every property
Yeah,
at Cook's Crossing. They want to know what kind of tree that they could.
it's outlined in the subdivision rules and regulations. Don't read it.
Yeah, I mean, if there isn't something written there, they usually, what the common tree is a pear tree. Cause it doesn't grow out and, years down the road, it becomes a problem on the street.
Yeah, the rooting system is very small. Because the
Okay.
last thing we need is them picking up sidewalks and stuff.
I should just tell him what to use.
Okay.
He's going to use the cheapest tree he can find.
Yeah, tell them a pear tree.
Bob Sweet wants to talk to you, Bill, about something.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Second, again.
All those in favor?
Aye, John, aye.
Barry, I
Bill, aye.
Damon,
And we're out of here, guys.
going to bed.